good hygiene and consistent habits, good habits, which are messages conveyed by our governments to this day to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. That's all I've got to show you for now. But in terms of studying female stamp designers, it's quite literally the tip of the iceberg, not to mention this being not even a fraction of our overall holdings. If you're interested in looking at our material or have any further queries, why don't you get in touch?
My name is Awate. I'm a rapper, I'm a producer, writer, the current and first artist in residence at the British Library for their Unlocking Our Sound Heritage project. The first time I went into the basement, I couldn't stop thinking about it for weeks afterwards. Yeah, I couldn't get over the fact that there was so much. There was just so much in the world on 4 floors underneath a building in King's Cross. I've been lucky enough to be able to work with, to see, feel, touch, and hear things from like 1895 today. Wax cylinders, shellac and lacquer discs, which now we use vinyl. So many different types of tapes, different sizes of magnetic tapes, that and reel-to-reel and 8-tracks, and CDs and videos. Have their own signatures. I didn't want to limit what I could listen to or what I could work with. I really hope that me doing this makes more musicians come in here, makes more young people come in here. I still can't get over the treasure trove that is here. Everything here has an incredible story, and that's what I take away from it.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining today's British Library webinar for PhD students. We hope you enjoyed this first glimpse of some areas of our collections, and we will begin properly at 2, so we're still waiting for quite a lot of people to join us. For those just joining, please continue to share your research areas using the instructions on this slide and in the chat. And we can see lots of keywords building up in a word cloud here that give us an idea of all the different topics and areas you're working on. So thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to starting with you very soon at 2 o'clock. Thank you, that's brilliant. We can see there's lots building up in this word cloud already. You can also do this, for example, via your phones if you go to www.menti.com and use the code at the top of this slide here. And then you can type in your research topics and keywords there. But I can see lots coming up in the chat as well, so do have a look at those as well. To see what other students joining us today are working on. Welcome to everybody that's joining us for today's British Library PhD webinar. Thank you for sharing some of your research interests, your research areas, keywords on your PhD topics in the chat and via this Menti slide. You can see lots of different terms building up here in our word cloud. and we look forward to starting with you on at 2 o'clock for this introduction to the British Library. We can see lots of different disciplines and topics represented here, so thank you for continuing to share those with us and with each other. So I just saw a question pop up in the chat here, somebody asking about recording. So yes, we will be recording this session and the recording will be made available to you afterwards as well. So that's a yes to, I can't remember who asked the question, but that is definitely going to be available to all of you. So welcome to everybody who's continuing to join us. Welcome to this British Library webinar for PhD students, an introduction to the library today to kick us off on our series of modules for doctoral students. We will start at 2 o'clock, and in the meantime, please do continue to share your research interests, your research areas and topics within this word cloud using the instructions at the top of this blue screen, or also via the chat if you would like to. So I can see we have a question from somebody about microphones for attendees, and we're running this first webinar module on a particular platform. So it's the Zoom webinar mode, which means that there won't be video or microphones available for the attendees, but all future modules, so from module 2 onwards, there will be Zoom meetings, and you will then also see the microphone on your screen. But today we will ask you, and I'll explain this properly later, we will ask you to use the chat and the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. So apologies for that today. So welcome to everybody joining us. If you've only just joined, we look forward to this introduction to the British Library with you today. And if in the meantime you could share your research areas here on our Menti slide that is building up in a word cloud, that would be wonderful, because it shows other students all the different areas that you are working on. Hello, everyone still joining. We are coming up to 400 participants now in today's introduction to the British Library. So thank you for joining us today. We will be starting at 2 o'clock. And in the meantime, you can see lots of topics building up here already. You can see what other students are working on. My colleagues will also be continuing to post links and useful information and answers in the chat and via the Q&A today, and I will explain a little bit more later how we will be using those two functions to interact with you. So you may have seen my colleague Rachel just posted a link to our programme. If you haven't already downloaded that, you should hopefully be able to find this link in the chat if you'd like to download the programme now. And it's 2 o'clock now, so we will be officially starting today's webinar. So welcome everybody to today's event, to everyone joining us on Zoom and also probably by now on our YouTube live stream. Thank you for being with us today, for sharing all your research topics with us and with each other in our word cloud. My name is Flavia Dietrich England and I'm based in the British Library's Research Development team. Today's module starts off our series of PhD webinars, as I'm sure you know, and so it gives you a first introduction to the British Library, aimed particularly at PhD students who are perhaps not that familiar with us yet, are just starting out. So obviously times are uncertain and our physical sites are currently closed, but we will still try to give you an overview and share with you information that can help you both now and hopefully in the future when you can come back to our buildings, where we'll hopefully be able to welcome you again on site. Before our first talk, we would like to do a very quick poll with you, which should be appearing on your screens shortly. If you're joining us on Zoom, then please could you participate in this to let us know how familiar you are with the British Library. And while you're completing this poll, I will just share some practical information with you in the meantime. So we have live captions available for this event. So welcome to our live caption writers, Catherine and Katie. You can access those via the closed caption button on the bottom right. So you'll see a CC there. And there is also a fully adjustable page of captions available, and the link will be posted in the chat again for you shortly. This event, just a reminder, is being recorded. And it will be made available to you afterwards and also publicly. We're using, as mentioned earlier, the Zoom webinar platform. That means that you as the audience won't be visible in any recordings, but you can interact with us via the Q&A functions and the chat function at the bottom of your screens. We're taking 2 breaks, but please take breaks whenever you need them. As I said, it will be recorded, so you can always watch some of what you've missed there. If you're taking part directly via Zoom, then please use the Q&A function at the bottom to ask questions that are directly for our speakers and presenters. And please use the chat for more general questions. So if you need a link, for example, you've got a practical question. Also for our Zoom guests, you should be able to upvote questions that other people have asked. So rather than asking the same or a similar question again, you should be able to upvote. Don't worry if you can't find that, that's fine to repost, but if you can, then do upvote questions already posted. If you're watching this via our YouTube live stream, then please use the comments section there to type in any questions, and we will do our best to answer all questions over the course of today's event, but please bear with us because there are a lot of people joining us and we may not be able to answer all questions immediately, or we may have to group questions together. Throughout, we will also provide you with links and resources through the chat, so hopefully that will address some of your questions as well. The programme for today's event should be, hopefully you will have received that, should also be in the chat. We can repost this if you would like to. And I just wanted to remind you of the format, so what you can expect of today. Richard Price, who's our head of contemporary collections, will give a general introduction to the British Library, and then I will talk to you briefly about some of the ways we support doctoral research. And then we have 2 of our reference specialists, Aliki and Mel, who will show you step by step what you need to do to become a reader, to access our resources, to search our catalogues, etc. And we also have our science reference team leader, Rachel Brett, in the chat to give further advice. And my research development colleagues, Naomi Billingsley and Andrew Rackley, are also with us, monitoring the chat, helping with Q&A. And we have Robin Sakladwala from Robin's Events also keeping all of us on track. So this is to give you an idea of what we're doing today. And I think hopefully this will have been enough time for you to participate in the poll. So I wonder if we could see the results of the poll now briefly, to have a look at how confident you are. So how familiar are you with using the British Library? Okay, so actually a lot of you are quite keen to find out more. So, so that's excellent. That's exactly what we're hoping to do today. And have you visited the British Library? Okay, so we've got sort of a relatively even split between people who have already accessed some of our online collections and some who haven't. So thank you very much for participating in this. That's really helpful for our presenters as well. So if we could perhaps remove the poll results now, and I would like to introduce now to you Richard Price, who's our Head of Contemporary Collections. And Richard, excellent. So Richard has just come up for you. And Richard, when you're ready, if you could share your presentation with us, and then I'll hand over to you. And in the meantime, I can see we have got lots more interests being shared here. Thank you, Richard. Robin, we can still see the poll, I think. So if, oh no, okay, that's all fine. Thank you, Richard.
Okay, welcome again to the British Library, and thanks to Flavia for introducing me. I'm Richard Price. I'm the head of Contemporary British Collections. My role today is really to start to introduce you to the British Library, start breaking down what might seem a pretty big organisation, to try and get you to get some sort of purchase on exactly where you and the library can work together. So I think the first thing to say is the library is quite a new library. It really just started in 1973. It's actually younger than the two other national libraries, National Library of Scotland and the National Library of Wales. And I like to think it's got some of the 1960s energy that created the Open University. In a way, I look at it as almost part of the Free Universities movement. It's almost as if it's the library that the Free Universities would have loved to have had. So that's quite an underground thing. But of course, it also incorporates all kinds of much older institutions. And it's a kind of hybrid of that. I think many people still think of it as the successor of the British Museum Library, but it incorporated all kinds of other libraries as well, which I'll mention in passing soon. I think the other thing to say is it's not just London, it's in Yorkshire, in Boston Spa, and we are hoping and planning to have a presence in Leeds before too long. And well, I suppose our ambition is really for it to be here, there and everywhere through the digital offer. And we try to put as much up digitally as we can. So that's another way of looking at it. I want to say a little bit about some of the predecessor libraries, because this will help you understand the breadth of the collections. So yes, the British Museum Library of printed books and manuscripts are very important, and those traditions still maintain. We still collect printed books, newspapers, and contemporary manuscripts, very, very much so. But we also have a very vibrant and alive sound archive. We have the India Office Library and Records. We have an interesting science offer, and these go back to our predecessor libraries. I suppose I would say this as head of Contemporary British, but one of the most important things is that we are a legal deposit library for the UK. Now that means that every publisher is required to send us a copy of everything they publish. Now this is fundamental to the way that we approach research. This is a chance for all published voices to be represented within the national collection. So that kind of funnel that the media does with sort of top publications, top ideas, we don't subscribe to that. The library is there to show that there is a more complicated, deeper, richer set of stories to be told. And it's sort of waiting there for you, because you are the key enablers to get those extra stories, those fascinating, thought-provoking challenges across. So we feel we're part of that thought infrastructure. And I suppose we also feel that we can use the word intellectual and not feel bad about that. So as you folks starting your PhD journey, guess what? You're intellectuals. Great. I feel that most people, probably everybody, is an intellectual of a kind, because they have to relate detail to abstract thought, and they have to negotiate that every day. But you're intellectuals of a particular kind, and you are very, very welcome here. The library is about an intellectual approach. Among other things, we like pleasure and utility as well. Now here's just to break this down in a fairly simple way. These are the collection areas in the library. Some of them fairly obvious. We break down in terms of the world territory. So I will skip over those very, very quickly and point out some of the things that you might not know about. So I'll go straight to the web archive. That's one of the biggest collections there is. We collect something like 5 million websites a year from the UK domain. And we have been collecting for a long time, and we've also collected other collections that have been collected for a long time. So our web archive actually goes back to 1996 and is really a vital tool for understanding contemporary history of all kinds of organizations and people. It's not to be forgotten about. I suppose the other aspect I would draw your attention to is that we also have a very good news offer. We record over 20 24-hour TV news channels continuously, and we've done that for several years. And we also have developed a radio archive, which archives many radio channels, and this works hand in hand with our newspaper collection, which is vast, and which part of which you can see through the British Newspaper Archive. And these are just some beautiful pictures of some beautiful collections in a way. I think if you were there for the preview, you would have seen my colleague talking about the philately collection, which is a surprising way into many different really very serious topics, and we have an unmatched collection there. I mentioned the British Newspaper Archive as a full text archive of many of our newspapers, although not all of them, and we have a massive project program, in fact, to get as many digitized as we can. I should say that these are all about materials and items, but what's quite important about the library is the people, the human glue that joins it all together. So reference services, the research development department that's brought this seminar today, even down to the welcome staff and the security staff who are actually keeping the building open in these very difficult times. And I feel that it is a welcoming place. I know I would say that, but we want it to be welcoming, and you might feel a bit cowed coming into the physical space sometimes. It feels a very big, dignified place. Don't be put off by that. We really want to help, and I'm remembering my days, many days on the reference inquiry desk, answering questions and wondering about those readers who didn't come up to ask a question, wondering if they suffered in silence or whether they were proficient in what they did. So if you do have doubts, then come and ask one way or another. Now I'm going to be careful with my time, but I'm just going to draw your attention to maybe two ends of the spectrum. That Latin American cardboard book is a cartonera. Now this was a form developed in Brazil and Central America, and it often uses recycled materials. It's often a poem or a political work within those covers. And it's often collectives of one kind or another, particularly women's collectives, who are making these books and then redistributing them. We have a good collection, and that is, if you like, a kind of a low church part of our offer, the small press church. At the other end is the anti-book by Francisca Prieto, which is a piece of high art. It's a folded polyhedron. There's no glue in that object. It's produced by the Chilean Prieto, who's based in London, and it's from the poetry of Nicanor Parra, and he wrote anti-poems in the 1950s. And what Prieto has done is realized them in 3D. She's an extraordinary artist in 3D. She conceptualizes things geometrically very early on in her projects. But in the end of the day, it's a book, and so it's in the library as well. Now, what I want to go back to again is this idea of sort of bones and soft tissues. So the collections, maybe they're the kind of bones of the collection, the bones of the library, but the soft tissues are really important. Oh, I'm losing my presentation there for some reason, which I don't understand. Let's come back to that. Sorry about the flickering. I should now realise presentations are not my forte. Are you seeing that now? Or has that gone completely?
We can see your presentation, Richard. It's just not in presenter mode. So you could go and click from beginning. That should take it back.
Right.
And
then that okay.
Flick through. Yeah. But
I'm
we can
sorry
see all
about
that fine. Yeah. No, that's all fine. Thank you.
So some of the soft tissues to help you get into the collections are the people themselves, but also, oh darn it, also blogs, virtual exhibitions, discovering literature, which is a fantastic resource, and virtual events. I'm just going to let that go through because I've only got a couple of things to say. Maybe I'll just undo that now. So let me just unshare that somehow. Yep. Those are really very important to sort of break down how you enter the world of the library. The blogs may sound quite casual, but in actual fact, we have guest blogs from researchers and the curatorial and other members of staff who are writing those blogs. They're often at a research level and are cited as such, so they're not a bad resource. The same goes for Discovering Literature, which is aimed at a sort of A-level undergraduate target audience, but in actual fact often is very useful at the higher level. I think that's almost me. I just want to draw your attention, obviously, to the main site where you can go to the catalogues, to look at also what's on. Our public events are still running virtually this time, often very good for contextual information and inspiration in your research. It can be a bit of a lonely business. I certainly remember that from my PhD days. And just going to events which are marginally close to your topic is pretty worthwhile. I think that's as much as I want to say now. I'll just hand over to my colleagues.
Thanks very much, Richard. Thank you very much for this really helpful overview and for setting the context for the support and the resources that the library can provide PhD researchers. So I have tried to also keep an eye on your questions, and I can see my colleagues have very efficiently tried to answer them as they were coming in. Thank you also for all your comments in the chat. I just wanted to answer this again verbally as well. Many of you have asked about recordings or if presentations are going to be shared. So yes, we will share the recording from today's webinar with you afterwards, and it will be shared publicly as well. And somebody asked about recordings of our future modules, so the next ones from next week onwards. There we will handle it slightly differently because those are more interactive and also include breakout sessions. So we won't necessarily be recording the whole module with all the conversations, because we want people to be able to talk to our curators freely without worrying about being recorded in the breakout sessions. But we will certainly make available whatever we can in terms of the more general presentations from the modules 2 to 8 as well, but certainly also today's recording in full. So you will then also obviously see all of the slides that you've seen today live. Okay, so it is up to me now to move on in my presentation. So I will just share my screen with you. Here we are. And so before we take a short break, basically, there's already a break coming up after this, I will talk to you just very briefly about some of the ways in which the library aims to support doctoral researchers. And there are 3 specific areas that I would like to highlight to you. One being our doctoral open days / PhD webinars as the one we're running today, our PhD placement scheme, and also Ethos, which is an open access resource for UK PhD theses. So to start off with a brief bit of background information about today's event. Basically, if there was no pandemic, then our PhD webinars would look more like this. So these are our traditional doctoral open days. It's a long established event series run for well over 10 years now, with the main audience being doctoral students from across the UK, some international participants as well. And typically we have around 60 to 70% of students from outside London. So again, obviously today gives us an opportunity to reach more of you, which is great. And these doctoral open days provide, as today, an introduction to the library's collections and services and resources. They're usually held on site, so mostly in the Knowledge Centre at our London site at St Pancras, but also always with an event at our Yorkshire site in Boston Spa that Richard mentioned to you. And so these days typically include an introduction like the one we've done today, collections overview, meeting the curators, digital scholarship, searching, handling and collections care, and reader registration. I saw some of you asked about how to become a reader, and we'll be covering that in detail today as well. So just like today, these doctoral open days are a true team effort, and There are always staff from across the library supporting these, and also our collaborative doctoral students and research fellows supporting these events. So this is just to show you what we would normally do, and we hope to be able to return to that, and perhaps you will attend an on-site day at some point in the future with us as well. So instead of on-site events, this year, obviously, we're offering this free online program, today being the first virtual event in this new series. We do recognise that we cannot replicate the experience of being shown around the buildings, seeing collections items on a table in front of you, actually speaking face-to-face to other PhD students, to our staff. But we've done our very best to try and provide you with as much useful information as possible to help get you started, hopefully, on your doctoral research. And today's introduction, as I mentioned earlier, will be followed by 7 further interactive modules on more specific collection areas and periods, which take place every Wednesday afternoon until the 3rd of March. There are more details on our website. We can repost the link in the chat for you, and you're welcome to join us again for any of these modules, so one or more or all of them. And the registration link to these modules for each individual one is now also live on our website. So you could take a look at those if you would like to. Just to briefly explain, so modules 2 to 4 and 6 to 7, they will contain presentations from library experts on specific collection areas and research methods. We will have specialist reference teams and digital curators on hand to offer advice. Where possible, there will also be some of our current doctoral students, as mentioned, participating, and they can offer their own perspective. And then we will have these smaller breakout sessions, which will not be relevant for everyone, but they'll explore more specialist areas within the wider collection area. So we would like to invite to those particular students for whom the topics covered in these breakouts are of specific relevance, to make sure that, you know, so you still have an opportunity to actually interact in the group and speak to our curators. And so in addition, we also have these not just books modules. So that's module 5 and 8, you can see, and these are intended to show you areas that you may not know about yet, a little bit like the videos we ran at the beginning of this while you were signing up. Maybe areas or resources that you weren't aware of that could still help you and offer you new viewpoints and new approaches. And these will include, for example, newspapers, the web archive that was already mentioned, digital research methods, endangered archives, maps, sounds, India Office records, also conservation will be represented at those. So just to remind you and make you aware that there is more coming that you could attend that might be useful to you. Something else I would like to highlight to you is the PhD placement scheme, which we usually run annually for current PhD students. And we offer a range of PhD placement projects across the library. These projects reflect our current strategic priorities, and the point being that we'd like to make sure that they can that the student feels that they can make a meaningful contribution to our activities and to the day-to-day work of the National Library. You can see some examples on the screen here of the types of projects this can include. All these projects were advertised in our latest round, for which the deadline has just closed, unfortunately, but there is more information on the placement scheme and further examples of projects undertaken previously on our website, and I'm sure my colleagues will post a link to this page for you in the chat if you're interested in this. And I just would like to make you aware, because it's something you might want to consider in the future, and tell you a little bit about how it works. So when we advertise the placement opportunities, each of these projects will have a project profile that lists the tasks and outcomes that you can expect, also the training and the type of experience you would be offered, and any required knowledge or skills. So in some cases, for example, it might be helpful to have particular language skills, but often we keep the criteria as wide as possible. All projects provide scope for students also to develop their own approach within the scope of the project, to define a focus depending on their own interests, and they also include a range of opportunities for your development. Placements are usually for a duration of 3 months, or they could be part-time equivalent. And in fact, most placements will be suitable for part-time. That's always specified clearly in the project description. And where we can, particularly obviously under the current circumstances, we will also always try to offer at least an element to be undertaken remotely. So again, that's specified really clearly, and it's something we're obviously thinking about much more now. In terms of funding, this might be a question that might have crossed your mind. Obviously, some students will have funding available through the universities or the research council that they may be funded by already for development opportunities, but we are also conscious that not everybody will. And for this, for those cases, we also have our own placement fund, and so we will discuss on a case-by-case basis how we can support students in that respect as well. So as mentioned, the deadline for this year has passed, but we expect to advertise the next round of placements in early 2022, so early next year, for placements starting later that year. So if you want to be kept informed, do look on our website, but also you may wish to sign up to the research development newsletter. That's about quarterly, so we wouldn't bombard you with emails. And you can sign up to this newsletter by getting in touch with our team, the research development team, at research.development@bl.uk, and we can share this email address in the chat with you as well. And finally, I mentioned I wanted to highlight to you Ethos, which is a database for UK doctoral theses, research theses. Its aim is very much to maximize visibility and availability of PhD theses. So anyone can use Ethos for their research anywhere in the world. It's free, it's openly accessible. We can post the link for you. And Ethos demonstrates the quality of UK doctoral research and helps institutions also to meet the expectation that PhDs should be made freely available in an open access repository. And for you, I think this offers a number of advantages. So you can find out what a thesis in your subject looks like, for example, if you're just starting. So how is it structured? What are the methodologies used? What conclusions are drawn? You can review what theses are available in your area. So how do they intersect with your own research and with your own approaches? And also, most importantly, when you have completed your thesis and it has been validated, you can ask your university to arrange for it to be added to Ethos. So I thought that might be useful to highlight to you. And finally, this is us on the left-hand side. My colleagues, Andy, Naomi, myself with pre-lockdown hair, and our head of research development, Alan Sadlow, on this picture here. So you can put faces and names together as well. And I just wanted to, so you've got our email address here again, and I just wanted to highlight that if you would like to find out more about research at the British Library, including postgraduate research, you may be interested in our latest research report, which you can access on our website, and we will be putting the link in the chat for you as well. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. If we can't answer everything today, you can always get in touch with us. And you can also, to remind you, use this email address to be added to our mailing list. And that way you will also find out about future doctoral open days, for example. So I think this is pretty much it from myself. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay. So in fact, what we will do shortly now, so yeah, we'll come back shortly. We will have a short break. So what I should have done is I should have kept sharing my screen, and I will show you why. Because I have a nice break slide here for you. So we will be we will be taking a short break, about 10 minutes, and we will come back at quarter to 3, so 2:45 if you join us again, and then we will continue with some practical information on how to use the British Library catalogues and resources with our 2 reference specialists, Aliki and Mel. So we'll see you again in about 10 minutes. Right, hello, welcome back everybody. I hope you managed to get a quick cup of tea and a little bit of a break so that you don't go into information overload today. So it's brilliant to see so many of you connect in the chat. And just a reminder, please make sure that if you post in the chat and you want to reach everyone, that you have selected all panelists and attendees, and not just the panelists if you want your message to be seen by the other students. And we just spotted that one of you has very helpfully created a Google Doc that allows you to all connect with each other if you would like to. I think that was Rhiannon, but perhaps you could repost this for the other students so that those who want to can put themselves onto your shared Google Doc. So excellent, so welcome back. We'll now continue with practical information, as mentioned, on how to use the British Library catalogues and resources. And I would like to introduce you to my colleague, Aliki Arkumani, who's reference specialist for Asian studies. And also Mel Johnson will be doing this session with Aliki, and Mel is humanities reference specialist. I will hand over to Aliki first of all, if you're ready, Aliki.
Yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Aliki. I'm a reference specialist with the Asian and African Studies Reading Room. So if your subject falls under this, you'll see me in the reading room. I'll also be answering your questions by email or on chat. And I'm just going to do a demo for you today. Everything I'm going to be showing you, I'm going to share my screen and show you live. And first, I'm going to introduce you to how to register for a Reader Pass. Some of you may already be readers, but some of you may need to register soon. So I'm going to share my screen with you. So this is the, let's go to the main BL website, which is bl.uk. So everything I'm going to show you today, don't worry if it's too much or you don't take it all in, because you can always contact us by chat or by filling in our reference inquiries forms, and we can answer all your questions there as well. So I'm going to start by showing you that. This is the main site, bl.uk, and you can click on catalogs and collections and getting started. And here you can see a number of useful links. And if you go to the second one, online help to use our collections, you can see this is our reference page. And you can see the quick chat where you can ask us short practical questions about, you know, what to bring with you, how to join, where to find links. And we also have individual forms for every reading room where you can ask more in-depth questions. So don't worry if I say something and you don't remember, it's gonna be fine. Let's go back. So like my colleague said, unfortunately, the British Library is currently closed because of COVID. And we do not have, unfortunately, a date as to when we'll be able to reopen. But updates will be posted on our website. So joining the British Library was quite straightforward before COVID. All you need to do was show up and, you know, bring an ID and proof of address, and you would get a card on the spot. Things have changed because of COVID, because we need to monitor how many people come in and out and maintain everybody's safety. So I'm going to tell you how you're going to be able to register after we reopen, but please bear in mind that some small details may change based on what the circumstances will be. So while COVID is ongoing, you will need to book an appointment to register. You can register both in St. Pancras and in Boston Spa, so whichever one's convenient for you. And yeah, you will need to book an appointment to register and book a reading room slot to come to the reading room and use collection items. So if you click on visit, and you can see here reading rooms, this is where all the updates will be posted. So if anything changes regarding opening, closure, how to book appointments, you'll find it here. At the moment, there's not much because we're closed, but all the details and links will be posted here. You'll need to create a box office account. The link will be on this page. And there will also be a link on to book an appointment for registration in Boston Spa St. Pancras. And once you have your registration appointment, you can also book a reading room slot, again from this page, and pick which reading room you want to visit on the same day as your registration or in the future, and come and view our collections. What you need to bring with you is the same as before: proof of address and an ID. If you need more details on that, it's all under the Getting Started, Register for a Reader Pass. This is where you can find, you know, what to bring with you, what kind of ID we accept, what kind of proof of address. Your proof of address could be from anywhere in the world, so don't worry if you're not a resident here and your proof of address is from somewhere else in the world. So which reading room to choose? For some of you, it may be really straightforward. So if you're doing business or market research, you know, we have the Business and IP Center, you can, you know, book that straight away. Some of you may be doing more multidisciplinary research, but don't worry too much about it. We can obviously advise you on that, but it also depends on what materials you're going to be using. So if you're using Oriental manuscripts, you come to Asian and African studies. If you're using Western manuscripts, these need to be viewed in manuscripts reading room. Most printed books, they can be viewed, ordered in any reading room. So don't worry too much about that. All reading rooms have PCs, and you don't need to book the PCs. You can, once you come in the reading room, you can sit on any PC and access our electronic resources, our catalogs and everything. You will need to create an online reader account, but reference staff will be in the reading room to help you if you need any help with that. What to bring with you? Obviously, in the reading rooms themselves, you can't bring highlighters, pens, anything that can damage the collections. But you're welcome to bring your laptop, your camera or mobile phone to take pictures where it's allowed of the collection items. You can bring pencils, etc. We do have lockers and what is it called? The place where you leave your coat and bags. I can't think of the English word now. Where you can leave all the rest of your stuff. These are free to use. And you can take a plastic bag, which we provide, and you put the things that you're going in the reading room with, and you can proceed to the reading room. If you do need any special adjustments, any reasonable adjustments because of a disability, please do not hesitate to contact us. Every reading room has carrels, which can be booked, and we have quite a few special equipment items that can assist you, you know, if you're visually impaired with accessing collection items. We do have a disability support officer. My colleague can put the email in the chat, is disability-support-officer@bl.uk. So feel free to email for an informal chat. We do not ask for burden of proof. So if you need a reasonable adjustment and we can help, just get in touch and we'll try to accommodate you. There's also the email accessibility@bl.uk if you need any adjustments for visiting any of our spaces, not just the reading rooms. So yeah, please get in touch in advance of your visit. Let's see, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, when picking reading room, of course, you know, bear in mind the expertise of the staff. So if you think you're going to need help with a particular subject, you know, even if you can order your collection items anywhere, come to the reading room where you can find the reference staff that can advise you. That's always a good idea. But, you know, as you get familiar with the library, you can move between reading rooms and, you know, see what suits you. That's pretty much all I had to say about joining the library. And I'm going to hand over to my colleague Mel now. Mel?
Yep. Thank you. I think I can try. I hope you see it. First of all, thank you very much for attending this event. And my name is Mel. I work for Humanities Reference Services. And secondly, thank you for establishing such good networking contacts. I see that you are all participating very actively in this seminar. And I would only encourage you, if possible, yes, you established all your contacts. So in future, perhaps you could join into groups and contact us by the subject, be it theology, be it anthropology, psychology, religious studies. Please talk to the relevant team like Humanities, Asian, African, or Science, and we'll provide another webinar. I know that we advertised for February quite a number of sessions for you, but in addition to this, perhaps it may be a good idea to talk to the reference teams. You were lucky as I suppose you got your reader pass, you already are here at home or in the library whenever we open, and you are now thinking, how can I get the best outcome from my research that I want to successfully complete my work? And I do wish you the best of luck and success with your PhD research. So when you are on Explore the British Library, your first, the most important tabs are here: main catalogue, available online, our website, and explore further. So main catalogue, that's where you request all the items that you want to view, or be they printed resources, or be they electronically available resources, or it may be music and so on. Richard quite correctly said that the British Library has over 170 million of items. Are they all here on the main catalogue? No, they are not. Why? Because there are other catalogues. If you just click here, you can see that there is archives and manuscripts, and there are also very special catalog which is called Preservation Surrogates, which provides access to microfiches and microphone. Unfortunately, not everything has been digitized, and it is really a little bit difficult with the software to put everything into one place. So if we type, some of you are doing research on design, if you put design into search, we get almost 3 million of the items here. Your access options, your refinements, all your refinements are here, be they thesis or reports, books, and so on. And refinements are also on the top. You can view them here, language and publisher and the date. I think you know all of them. That's not a difficult task for you, I'm absolutely sure. Now, if we were to now move to another tab, which is available online, and that's where our brilliant, absolutely brilliant British Library teams have done a wonderful job, very quickly responding to the current situation, which we are all experiencing. We are now at home, we are in the lockdown, stay only at home. So what they have done, they have put here resources, and it incorporates all the subjects. I think of the research, you can find everything here. What is available online from your home computers? So, and you can see here that theses are available, books are available, and journals and databases especially, which is huge resource, reliable resource, newspapers and so on. So please do use this available online while we are still at home. You still can do a lot of work. The next one is our website, and the website is articles, material, collection items, reviewed or analyzed and presented to our researchers, prepared by our curators or the academics that we invite from all over the world, from the UK, and also with your help. Some of our PhD students, researchers, they also contribute to this work. And you can see that depending on the subject, say, I will put here LGBTQ, I can see interesting, very interesting material. And when you do open it here, then you will get access to other resources, which are, it is really huge, huge resource which you can use at home, and you will get access to both what I call primary sources, and you will get the articles written by the academics, which is your secondary sources. But have a look, whatever subject you are researching, you can find material on the British Library, our website tab here. If we go back to the first main catalog, when I showed you search by the design, and I pointed out that we have almost 3 million on the main catalog. Searching on beta, of course, we get only 26,000. Then our website will give you even less results, but they are wonderful results. Please have a look at them. What is Explore Further? And Explore Further is an external resource. So just from the very beginning, I would like to caution you that something that you see here, this is not quite internet. 23 million we get here compared to 3 million of our resources, say, from the main catalog. But nevertheless, this can be used as for your bibliography. If something does not open, and that's where my caution is, if something does not open, it's because it is external resource. All this information about the available online, our website, main catalog, and Explore Further is explained here. And if you do scroll a little bit down, you can see that's another catalog, and not everything is even included here, and not everything is included in the main, and then the Register of Preservation Surrogates. That's as far as the first most important tabs are. Again, I'm reminding you, this is where you request all your items for the delivery to the reading room whenever we are already open. What else is here of prime importance? All of this that you can see is important, but say the next tab is my reading room request. And I would always encourage you to check whenever you think that you have requested some items, please check that yes, it is already here. And let me see if I can open. Right. That's your, my reading room requests can be used as your bibliography. You can always check the status of your requests, whether it is issued to the reader, sent already back to storage, and you can see everything that you have requested going page after page after page. So I go to next page and it will show me. And at the same time, as I said, you can use this resource as your bibliography because you can see everything that you requested before. My computer is today working in an interesting way. So again, I have 20 pages. I can go to the data that I selected, and it shows clearly title of the item that you requested, the author, especially important the shelf mark, the year of publication. And I would never wish you to get anything here under this unsuccessful requests tab, but it does happen. It happens even to us who know how it all works, but nevertheless, it may happen. And readers sometimes come to us in the reading room saying, it disappeared from my records. It didn't disappear. It is in your unsuccessful request. Well, there may be 0.001% that it did disappear. technology is technology, but basically, if it is not in the current, in the older, it may be here. The next important item for you to look at is services. And services, I especially draw your attention to document supply and imaging services and permissions. So document supply, what document supply, our document supply service, what do they offer you? Scanning all the articles, all modern material, all modern publications, whatever you may need. If you cannot get access, please contact our document supply services. They will do everything you need, also loans. If you want to loan a book from the British Library, providing it is in the collections of our document supply, then yes, your university, not you directly, your university, your public library can borrow the book from the British Library. It is a paid service. Please check your contract. Who pays for this, you or your university, and how many loans you are allowed to order. That's our one very important contact for you on demand. And the next one is, as I mentioned, is imaging. And imaging services, you would contact our imaging services when you are interested in the previous centuries, say, material. It is older publications or previously published, say not this century. I hope it will open. Right, and that's your imaging department. In both cases, how to contact them, it's customer services BL UK, but yes, you can specify that it is imaging department that you need, and we have very high quality equipment. If you do want to use images in your books, if you are planning to publish your dissertation as a book, or even simply as a separate as a book related to PhD or not, you may need images and or different pictures. So please talk to our digitization services and they will do their best for you.
Thank you, Mel. I'm just conscious of time, so sorry to just barge into your presentation. I wonder if you think we can hand over to Aliki now, so we don't overrun. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Aliki.
Okay, hi again, everyone. Bear with me. So I'm going to quickly show you some tips regarding collection guides. Maybe can you stop Mel's screen share, please, so I can share my screen? Thank you. Let's see, share screen. Yeah, so I'm going to show you quickly how to access our collection guides. Our collection guides are really, really useful. It's a great starting point if you're new to the library, even if you're not new actually, and you don't know what we have on a subject or on a language. It's a great way to get started and see what we hold, how to access it, what's online, what's been digitized, how to search, etc. The collection guides are written by our curators. So you start again from the main site, catalogs and collections, getting started, and then overview of the collection. And you can see here various subjects and collection guides. And each of these contains even more subjects and even more themed pages. I'll show you an example. For example, if you're researching something relating to Africa and you click on this, you can see printed books and journals, African newspapers, African manuscripts and archives, Ethiopian collections, War Office archive maps, African government publications. So it's a lot of different subjects that you may not have been aware that we have. And a lot of these are not found in our main catalog. So it's always a good starting point. My colleague Mel will talk to you later about, how many catalogs we have, and, our collections are vast. So sometimes it's not as straightforward as checking the main catalog. It could be that what you're looking for is under a specialist collection or a legacy collection, or you need to search our printed catalogs, which we still use to access that. So for example, if you go to African newspapers, you will see an outline of what we hold, what is available online, what has been digitized, and what you need to access in our reading rooms. The things that are available online, I see, because a lot of you are asking, can we access electronic collections without being registered readers? We have a lot of material that's available online for everybody, and you don't need to be a registered reader. There are, of course, when you see here what is available in our reading rooms, there may be material that has been digitized, but it's only accessible through electronic resources, that, you know, we are bound by licensing agreements and can only be accessed in the reading rooms. My colleague Mel will talk about this later. But the collection guides are really useful because they will also show you what you can access online from home, and what is available in other organizations if there's any external projects that have digitized material. As you can see, a lot of the subjects are broad. So what you do if your subject is a bit more niche, not too niche, and you need to find a collection guide and you're not sure where it would fall under, I'll show you a trick that you can do. Open a Google tab, right? So you're in Google now, forget our website, and you do this, site bl.uk. So this way, as you may already know, it will search all the materials that is within our website. And then you can write, for example, Turkish manuscripts, if that's what you're looking for. I don't want to sign in. Sorry about that, Google. Sorry, I can't get rid of this now. Sorry about that. Stop share.
While Aliki is
sorry about that.
It's doing that. Don't worry, Aliki. I was just going to say, I know that the Google Doc that's been set up by one of the participants, thank you, is very busy at the moment. So if Rhiannon is happy, we can share the link to that for everybody in our follow-up email as well. If there are any concerns about that, please let us know, but I know you're all trying to get onto that. So to help you maybe focus on the presentations and to help Rhiannon get a break. Okay, great. I've just seen Rhiannon has confirmed. So we will share the link to the Google Doc set up by Rhiannon in our follow-up email to everybody. Sorry, Aliki, go.
Sorry about that. Nothing works for me and I couldn't move the tabs for a second. So just to repeat, a trick you can do with any subject is type on Google site, bl.uk, and then type your subjects. I type Turkish manuscripts because say you don't find a collection guide and maybe it falls under something else. So immediately you can see all these links from bl.uk, Turkish and Turkic language collections. And you can see that's the relevant collection guide. Sometimes the curators will have put links to printed catalogs you can access online. For example, if you read this collection guide, it will tell you, you know, you need to use printed catalogs, and the curator has very helpfully put a link to archive.org where you can actually see the full catalog. That is a great tip to use for anything because it doesn't only apply to collection guides. You can see what other materials you may find on our website. Our website is vast. So if you browse around, you're going to realize sometimes it's very, very chaotic. And maybe you think you're missing something, or there could be more things you could access from home. This is the best way for me to see what the BL has in terms of images, digitized collection items, everything that I can access from home. So you do site bl.uk and say you're researching Windrush. you will see it doesn't just pick up collection guides, it will pick up anything, any blog posts written by curators, any digitized items, articles, sounds. So for example, if I click on this, you will see featured articles, and you will also see collection items, and you're going to find a lot of original archival digitized material here. All of these you can access from home. I'm at home now, I'm not signed in as a reader, so you're going to find a wealth of material here. Yeah, that's all. I'm going to hand back to my colleague Mel.
Thank you, Aliki. I hope I can find myself. There I am. Right. The next part of the presentation, of the humanities presentation, is about legal deposit collections and our digital items that are available to the researchers. First of all, may I please apologize for the conditions and terms that we offer our researchers in the reading rooms, but it is not really our conditions and terms. 6 UK libraries are given the status, or they have right to get every publication, every printed publication from 2013, even e-resource that is published in the country. Each item must be given to these 6 libraries. But the condition is that our researchers can get access to these legal deposit items only from one computer terminal and at any one time. And I have brought this legislation to you to explain it is not us, it is not the British Library, please don't blame us. Each deposit library may only display the same non-print work, and now it includes, well, it is both. Of course, what we are talking about the electronic resources at one computer terminal. So when you are in the reading room, you opened the book, you opened the article, the databases that you are consulting at the moment. Please remember, if you want to change your computer, you want to move to another one, log out, because otherwise it will not be displayed on another computer. That's one point. So it is, of course, a huge blessing that we do get access to all of the electronic resources that we have. And whenever you are doing the search on the British Library webpage, and you are saying that it is theology or contemporary art or music, whatever you are doing, I'm putting just one art, shortening contemporary art and other. I have seen women, sounds, masculinity, sociologies that researchers are interested in. What you are looking for is online reading rooms only. This is legal deposit. It is legal deposit and plus subscribed items that the library pays for to provide access to our researchers. And while you are, when you are in the reading room, when hopefully we reopen, I believe we will reopen. It's simply the question of when, of course. Even if you don't want to order books, please just come to the reading room and get access to these online reading room resources only. This is your, I assume, first year. You are working at your bibliography. And of course, getting access to these online resources. And at the end of the books or articles, there is always very good bibliography, and this may help you with your research. It is not only, of course, that it is not the only way how you can work on your bibliography, but this is one of them. Your refinements further shelved in the reading room, and books, articles, journals, always expanded here. And what I would like now to introduce you to is thesis. So here we can see access to the dissertations, and dissertations take us to the created, by the way, by the British Library resource, as Flavia was mentioning, ESOS. And ESOS provides access now to more than 500,000 of dissertations. Are all of them available immediately for free download? Unfortunately not. I have read one of the questions which said, oh, unavailable for immediate download, restricted access or access not provided. What do I do? So if we do look at ESOS page, refinements are pretty limited. You can refine by the year, by the author. You could also say limit search to items available for immediate download. And that's basically it. But at least it is something. When you look at the records, and I have put just one here, that's of course immediately available for the free download. All you need to do is to log in. And by the way, it says that it is unavailable. There must be, please try link below, and this will work. So when you click here, providing you are logged in, then this will open the whole of the dissertation. You will find the PDF access. I'm taking you back to the search where we were, and the previous record was shown as unavailable, and that's one of the options that you may get. So restricted access, not only full text unavailable from ESOS, but it is restricted access. What are the messages you can get? For example, with this record, what it says, again, restricted access. With the same with the sexual health. So a lot of resources may show that it is unavailable or it is restricted access. At the same time, when you are on the catalog, and that's the PhD that we were just looking at, Economics of Sexual Health, have a look. It is much, much better to do your search on Explore, because ESOS gives you only this particular PhD dissertation. Metadata is limited also, so supervisors sometimes may be mentioned, maybe not. While when you are on Explore catalog, you can see that this is thesis, and as we discovered that this is unavailable for immediate download, it says full text unavailable. At the same time, so this was 2010, but in 2005, a book was published. So whether the author decided, go and buy my book, I do not provide access to my dissertation, and I wonder what you are going to do. Will you immediately offer, and I hope that you do, offer your dissertation as a free resource for everyone to be able to view it, and perhaps to share the results of the research. But here in this case, why it happens that sometimes researchers are not providing full access? Yes, there may be that they want you to buy the book. Yes, there may be they are still in the process of finalizing permissions and their imaging images they're using, or prints, or the pictures. There may be different reasons. There may be sensitivity of the material, if it is ecology, politics, and other subjects. So if that is the case, what are your options? You either have, in any case, you have to contact the awarding institution and inquire with them, because we created the catalog. We are not responsible for the access options. We are just registering it. Contacting the awarding university, you will then ask, can I get access? How I can get access? In the vast majority of cases, yes, access is available, even with the restricted access, as it is shown. You need to travel to that university. In some cases, they may offer you to pay for the digitization. And this is your sort of kind work for other researchers. Digitization sometimes may cost 60 roundabout pounds. Is it cheaper than to travel, to stay in the hotel? Perhaps. Once the item has been digitized, it will be then on the ESOS available for access to everybody. So if you do need it, if you want to do good to your colleagues, yes, please use this option. It may be also in a contract that your university will be paying for this. It all depends. In very many cases, when access is not provided, do search the catalog by the author or even by the title, as in this case that I've been just demonstrating it to you, and you may find that there is an article, and maybe this is all that you need, just to have an article and not the whole of the dissertation, and that will be enough for you. So that's the two main important things that I wanted to draw your attention at this precise moment. It is legal deposit, which is available only from home, from the reading rooms. I apologize. Even when you are in the British Library and you have your laptop with you, you will not be able to get access to legal deposit material. Even when you are in the British Library reading room, be it public areas, no, access is only provided from the British Library computer. Please take it in mind. You can print from the legal deposit, but you cannot download it, and you are not allowed to take any pictures from this. I'm very happy to answer any further questions. Please put them in questions and answers or email me. Thank you very much. And I'm now, I think we are having a break. I'm not quite sure.
Yes, Mel, if you could, thank you very much to both of you, Mel and Aliki, for this really useful presentation and practical tips. Mel, if you could just stop your screen share for me, or maybe Robin can do that for you, that would be great.
Yeah, I have that.
Thank you, fabulous. So we hope that was useful to you so far, and hopefully I think we've picked up some of the questions you've been asking in the chat as well about what you can access and what you can't, etc. Also, just to reiterate that we will also, with Rhiannon's permission, share the link to the Google Doc that she has set up as a participant for other participants. So when we email you after the event, you will also receive a reminder of how to get to that Google Doc, which I think has been pretty overloaded. But thank you again for setting that up for your fellow students. That's excellent. We will have a break shortly, but before you go, we would like to share with you a booklet and collections guide that we have prepared for you, and that provides you not only with a guide to our collection, sort of a brief overview, but it also contains on the last few pages step-by-step instructions for searching and for eventually, hopefully, registering as readers. So my colleagues are now, yeah, thank you, Naomi. I can see it's been posted in the chat. They have just shared the link to this booklet. This is hot off the press, so currently we have that only available in this version that we've just linked to, but please look particularly at the last few pages from page 18 onwards, so the step-by-step instructions on how to get started with the British Library. So you might want to take a look at these ahead of our part 2 session with our 2 reference specialists, Mel and Aliki, or you might like to try out a few searches, maybe in our Explore catalogue, based on what you've heard so far. So we'll be taking a short break in just a moment. So perhaps once you've sort of had a bit of a rest and a cup of tea, you might like to try out some of these practical tips and searches. Please also feel free to post suggestions for books or journals that you're interested in the chat, and then we will try to cover at least some of your examples in part 2 of the reference services session. So we're actually doing really well on time, so we can give you a slightly longer break to do all of those things. So we will return at 5 minutes to 4, 15:55, for the second part with our reference specialist. So we will see you then. Thank you. Hi, welcome back everyone. So I hope this has given you a little bit of a break and maybe also an opportunity to look back at the information that's already been shared. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Aliki for the second part of the session with our reference specialists. And I think Aliki is going to start talking to you now about manuscripts.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aliki.
Thank you, Flavia. So I'm going to share my screen once again with you. I'm going to talk to you a bit about how to find manuscripts, both in our archives and manuscripts catalog and in our digitized manuscript page. So let's go back to the main site. If you click on catalogs and collections here, I'm going to be showing you two things: archives and manuscripts catalog and digital collections, digitized manuscripts. Now, the first thing I want you to remember is that not all our manuscripts have been catalogued electronically. We still use the old printed catalogues, the printed catalogues of the British Museum, the India Office records, etc. So if you are researching Western manuscripts, you might be in luck because I think most of them are catalogued. If you are researching Oriental manuscripts, you will still have to come to the Asian and African Studies reading room or contact us online and we can tell you how to search for manuscripts or view our collection guides like I showed earlier. So that's the one thing I want you to remember, that just because you can't find it in this archives and manuscripts catalog, it doesn't mean we don't have it. It's just that we have so many legacy collections that used to be in other museums and institutions that, you know, they're not all cataloged electronically. You can't use this catalog anyway to begin with. So I can show you a few examples. You can search by keyword. So for example, we can search Bengal. And you will see immediately loads of results. You can see on the left-hand side column, you can filter your results by archives and manuscripts, artistic works, photographs, print and drawings, sound recordings, etc. So anything we have, you can request. So even if you can't find it in this catalog, if you find it in our printed catalogs, we can show you how to request it. Sometimes when you click under details, you can see whether something has been digitized. You can see some details about the item, and if it has been digitized, there might be a link, but it might also, you know, not be available digitally. If you need to request something for the reading room, you just follow the steps. You can click, I want this. Oh, this is gramophone records. I didn't pick a good example. Say you want this, I want this. And you can see very brief instructions: deliver item to the British Library's reading rooms, click go and enter the shelf mark. So you just follow this. I'm not going to focus very much on this because that's neither here nor there, because you can't access the reading rooms right now. So I'm going to focus more on what you can access online. Another tip for searching the catalog, before I forget, is please keep in mind that most of the archives are cataloged by their title, so they do not have very modern subject description. This means that sometimes you need to know what language was used at the time when the archive was created and by the person that it was created to search. So if you're using keywords and you can't seem to find something, but you're thinking the British Library must have it, check with us and we might be able to advise you. To give you some quick examples of what I mean, you know, if you're researching the Indian Rebellion of 1857, you can type Indian Rebellion and you're going to find a few results, but at the time that the India Office records were created, you know, the colonial administration called the Indian Rebellion the Mutiny. So if you type mutiny, you're going to find, you know, many more records. So sometimes you need to use the language, you know, sort of colonial, outdated terms. For example, you know, riots or even massacres, you have to type something like disturbances, because that's what the British used to call it at the time. Sometimes you can just try and vary your keywords as well. So for example, I noticed, I'm just picking some random subjects from what I saw in your research interest. I saw somebody does Old Norse. So if you type Old Norse, expecting to find manuscripts, you may see there's not many results. But if, for example, you type Icelandic, because you know most Old Norse manuscripts are written in Old Icelandic, suddenly you're going to find 300 results, because we have the Banks collection of Icelandic manuscripts, of course. So if you're wondering, how would I know this? You wouldn't, but this is what we're here for. So please don't hesitate to ask us. Even if you think it's a stupid question or you can't find something, don't assume we don't have it. Just go to the reference specialist in each subject area, and you know, we will do our best to guide you. Now, I'm going to show you a few things that you can access online, because I know a lot of you are being frustrated with how much is unavailable right now. And believe me when I say that, you know, if it was up to me and Mel or any of the reference specialists, we would make everything accessible to you immediately. But unfortunately, it's not up to us. And it's not up to the British Library, because we are bound by strict copyright laws. So yeah, we can't make everything accessible. But I'll show you what manuscripts you can't access online. If I search, for example, Bengali pamphlets, you may see some materials from all over the world in the Archives and Manuscripts catalog with this prefix, EAP. Most of the stuff that you see with the EAP are already available online, and you can access them from home. You don't need to be a reader. You know, you can just access them straight away. EAP stands for Endangered Archives Program, and it's a program where we digitize a lot of archives that are actually being endangered, but without removing them from their original location. And where possible, we make them available online for everybody in the world. So you can search these through the Archives and Manuscripts catalog. If you scroll down under details, you will see not a link, but basically a link that you have to copy paste. And you can click go, and immediately it takes you to the Endangered Archives Program website. And you can see view image from this file, and you can see all these from home. So I'm not going to wait for this to load, but I'm going to show you how to search other materials. So the Endangered Archives Program may be relevant to you even if you're not studying manuscripts, because it has both contemporary and old archives, photographs, ritual objects, newspapers, a wide variety of materials. You can also access it directly by going to eap.bl.uk. And you can obviously search here where it says search Endangered Archives, or you can just click explore the archives and search by country. You can see loads of related places. You can see there's archives from all over the world in all different languages, thousands of items which you can access freely from home. So that's the Endangered Archives. Sometimes there might be links to our digitized manuscripts website. So let me find another example. Say I'm studying cat treatise. You can see we have loads of cat treatises, mainly in Thai. So I see this item, I can click on details, can see a good description, and all the way under details, it says digital version, and there's a link to our digitized manuscripts page. So again, you can open this or you can paste it on your browser. And that takes you to our digitized manuscripts page. And anything that's on this page, BL Digitized Manuscripts, is accessible freely from home. You don't need to be a reader. You can just access it now. And you can click on an image and then you can just browse all the folios and see some cheeky cards. And you can find a lot of descriptions of manuscripts as well, and bibliographical information sometimes. So you can access this site sometimes from links from the Archives and Manuscripts catalogs, or if you have the shelf mark or what you're looking for, or you simply want to browse, you can also access it from the main BL page directly. So go to the main page, catalogs and collections, digitized manuscripts. And my advice will be ignore this quick search because it doesn't really work that well with keywords and you can't do Boolean searches, but you can check the about and see what different collections have been digitized, botany, Greek manuscripts, etc., etc. And browse is really good because you can browse by scribe, by author, by shelf mark, by title. And
Alicia, sorry to interrupt you. Just to flag up that we will need to move shortly to
okay,
Mel,
yeah, that's
so
all pretty much.
sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Flavia. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to show you. There's loads of manuscripts here. If you're not sure whether a manuscript has been digitized, again, contact us. And I'll hand over to my colleague Mel. Let me stop my screen share. Yeah.
Thank you, Aliki. If I can find my records here.
While Mel is getting ready, just to remind you, there are lots of questions that have already been answered in the Q&A, and we're trying to keep up with all your questions as well. But do have a look back at the Q&A, and just to confirm that the recording will also be available on YouTube, and you will be sent a link. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Flavia, and I'm sorry for the delay. Aliki very kindly introduced everyone to the manuscript catalogs and option values, access options. I apologize, I'm trying to speak as quickly as I can. Whatever research you are doing, I would encourage you to think about newspapers. And although this is not the catalog as catalog, but the resources are so huge. And I am showing you several of them, starting with the Thomas & Tracks, which is mid-17th century. So how far you want to go with your research, say from the point of view of newspapers, you can search your subject here. Burney collections, 17th, 18th century. We have 19th century collections, and of course the British Newspaper Archive, which is available. This is one of the few newspaper records which are available online from your home computer, but it is a paid service. Other than that, all resources are available freely from the reading rooms. As again, it was several times today, we repeated it, and Aliki now mentioned it again. It is not our wish. So there are legal deposit items, there are subscribed items, and we have no right to give access online to readers remotely. So you can have a look at all of them, be it Burney collection and all of the details, or British Newspaper Archive. Again, I am just once again saying that yes, it is all available on all subjects of the research. Thomas & Tracks, again, all of these resources are wonderful. Other two catalogs that I would like to bring to your attention is Sound and Moving Image Catalog. And whatever you find here will be either immediately available for listening or It may be that you need, if only shelf mark is shown, it means you may need to contact our sound and vision team, and they will pre-record it, prepare it for you, invite you to the Rare Books and Music reading room, and you will be able to listen to this. And another catalog, which is sounds, here everything is available. Whatever you want to listen to, especially, for example, if you are interested in oral history, you want to include it into your research, what interviews are available on the whatever subjects. So just click on this. Some of you are doing disabilities or fashion. As I read, all of the subjects are here. Please click on it and you will be able to listen to all of them immediately, and then yes, reference them, use them for your dissertation. What are the interesting electronic resources we provide you access to? And of course, one of them will be, and let me take you here. When you go to the collections, please open electronic resources. And in electronic resources, I would encourage you to use this access where you can search whatever you may need, either by the title, by the subject that you know the title, or use advanced search also. For example, if we are still talking about the newspapers, then Daily Express from 1900 to date, Daily Mail again from 1923, and further on, the Daily Mirror full record, full access 1903. You could use also the Times. Today is the birthday, by the way, of the Times. They were created on the 13th of January, so you can have a look at the Times collections, which is available from our resources. The Times Digital Archive from 1785. The next very good resource is Newsbank. If I type it, and we made available Newsbank readers with a valid pass have remote access to this resource. So this is already a huge improvement. Before, it was only from the reading room. Now you have access to Newsbank, which provides you access to 300 UK news sources and 1,800 American news sources, which is vast, vast, vast. Again, the adjectives we used, both Aliki and me today, huge, vast, enormous, that's resources. So whatever subject you are doing, you can also have a look just here at the 19th century British pamphlets or online international encyclopedia of the First World War. By the subject, I would like to mention again dissertations, but that's again the art, design, humanities, religion. You can find them all here. And coming back, because I started with the dissertations, free access is provided to additional resources, and be they either European, the resource is freely available. Again, ESOS, as we already were mentioning, that's another resource. Open dissertations. Unfortunately, ProQuest does not give you full access. And please be careful about whatever you are trying to get access to. Sometimes free access is mentioned as this resource is freely available in bold. Sometimes it will be just in plain text, but we do provide access to it. You can search by the history or religion. From the point of view of religion, several of you, as I have seen, are doing research on religion. Then ATLA is one of the very good resources on religious studies, and we simply don't have enough time now to search, to show how you can search this resource or any other of the resources, but this is your religion database. And I would highly, highly, really advise you to use also JSTOR, for example, but it is not only JSTOR. So there are all of them. What the British Library is very good with, we provide reliable resources from the academic point of view. So whatever you find here on electronic resources, it is reliable. So JSTOR, journals, books, and more is a digital library of academic journals and books and primary sources. So this is really high end. So whatever, again, subject you are doing, you can find here articles, but at the same time, so that's already a lot of databases. They decided, all right, due to COVID, we'll provide open access collections, we provide free access, and that's your another way of accessing it from home. And it's not only JSTOR who is doing this. And the next item that I would like very quickly, because I understand we are short of time, is remote access. We all want remote access and free access, not only remote, but free access. And that's what we are offering. So that if you do have Reader's Pass, you are a registered reader, you get access to all science or humanities resources. This is the list of them. And when you are on the catalog, you are searching, you're open, just type any of these titles, you will immediately see that access is available. To the left, it will be open access, or it will be mentioned below the record. So please, if you do have time, then when you are using the collections, and as I showed you, electronic resources, please go page by page from what we offer and see what can be useful to your research. Not always the title can be reflecting your subject, but sometimes you can find, of course, much more than it is mentioned here. Say, if we type again, that will give us all women's studies, as I can see. So that's resources. Reader Pass holder can get it on a personal device. So electronic resources, newspapers, and sound. There are so many additional resources like photographs, and I wanted to talk to them. I understand I am limited with time. Thank you for your attention. And I am giving the hold of this, giving the screen to Aliki. I hope I can.
Thank you, Mel.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
stopping
you.
screen share. Thank you.
So I'm going to show you quickly how to order books from the main catalog. Let's have a look. So that's the main catalog, Explore the British Library. And one example that somebody asked for was diagramming the social. So that was a book that somebody mentioned. So if I search for this, you can see a few items. Make sure you're picking the book if that's what you want. When you see article here and you see the same title sometimes, it may be a review of that book and not necessarily the book you want. So make sure it's a book. You can look under details to see what copy we hold. And unfortunately, this is a non-print legal deposit item, like a lot of the recently published books. This means that if you're in the reading rooms, you can view it straight away from the computers, but you cannot access it remotely. So non-print legal deposit, like my colleague Mel said earlier, it means that we do have an electronic copy, but it can only be accessed on site. This is not up to us. Again, this is because of licensing agreements and copyright. So if you're in the reading room, you can click I want this and click view online and view it straight away from the reading room PCs. If it's a print copy, you would do the same thing, but I'll show you. Say, for example, you're searching with a keyword and you can see a number of books. Say you want this one, you can click, oh, that's a digital content as well. Let me find a printed book. yeah, if it's a printed book and we only have a physical copy and you need to order it to view it in the reading room, you can see the first option will be, I want this delivered to the British Library's reading rooms, and you click go. You log in with your reader account, which will you create after you get your pass, and you will see, bear with me, and you will see, for example, the item here, the delivery time, and the option to order it. At the moment, again, this is not very useful because the reading rooms are closed, but in the future, when you do visit the library, you will see here how long it takes for this book to be delivered, and you will be able to add it to your basket. And once it's in your basket, you can select the date that you want to see it. Pick a reading room. The available reading rooms will show on the drop-down menu, and click request. So that's the main steps that you follow to request any books that you want to consult in the reading rooms. We do have a lot of collections that normally, under normal circumstances, can be ordered the same day and delivered in 70 minutes. And we have a lot of items that take 48 hours because they're stored in Boston Spa. So if you're ordering them for the reading rooms in London, you would need to order them 2 days in advance. Unfortunately, because of COVID, even when we reopen, it's very likely that initially everything will take 48 hours. And that's because we're trying to sort of social distance all the staff working in the storage areas. So please bear with us. It's very likely that you will need, when you're able to visit the library, you will need to pre-order items 2 days in advance, you know, until we're all vaccinated and COVID is gone. So that's how to order books, which is not possible at the moment. So I'm going to show you how to view books available online from home. A lot of you brought up in the questions that you can see these options: online, reading room only, and online. And then it's very frustrating because you go on these and then you realize that you can't actually access this from home. If you're looking for books to access from home, what you want is this option up here, available online beta. This will only show you items that you can access from home. So if you search by keyword, unfortunately, if you search for very recently published books, they're not going to be available simply because they're still under copyright. So we don't have the right to make them available, you know, without the authors and the copyright holders' permission and the publisher. But you can search for your subject, for example, and then you can see theses, books, reports, web pages, journals. So there's quite a few items that you will be able to access from home, you know, even if it's not the book that you're after, there might be something else that you can access. And then you can click, I want this, and digital item, view online, go, and the item will load straight away for you. You don't need to be logged in. I'm not logged in, so you can access these from home. So just to reiterate, ignore these options and just click up here, available online beta, and type your keyword or your title. Something else I wanted to show you, and I hope you will forgive me because this is outside the BL, but for those of you who are looking for more contemporary books that you don't find in our website to be available online, I don't know if you already use archive.org or Open Library, but so it's the same site, a couple of different interfaces, archive.org, and you can also access books via Open Library, can't remember, yeah, openlibrary.org. There's a lot of books that are available freely online. Some of them are out of copyright. Some of them are still within copyright, but you can borrow them digitally. So, for example, I'm searching, you can see all the books that are available online, and there might be some recent books that you can see, books to borrow, And this is a free service. I use it myself all the time. Again, it's not affiliated with the British Library, but I'm just showing you because I think it's going to be useful while we're closed. And what you need to do is register for a free account, which is very straightforward. And then you're logged in and you click borrow. And then you can just renew it every hour and just read it online. So I found a lot of books are still within copyright that we don't have access to in the British Library, and I found them here. So yeah, hopefully, you know, that might come in handy. I'm not going to show you any more with how to access things in the reading room, because I realize that it's very frustrating when you can't actually register for the reading room, but it's all very straightforward. You just follow the steps in the main catalog and you click I want this. I'll hand back to my colleague Mel, because she has the slightly more difficult task of showing you how to access journals and articles. So let me stop sharing. And
Thank you,
Mel,
Aliki.
thank you.
I think I am ready. Perhaps it is also, I can agree with Aliki that it may be frustrating when you're trying to get access to something, and of course there is this paywall, say, or due to our restrictions, we cannot provide access, free access and immediate access, and that's what we all do. Answering the recent inquiry about religion, if we do type the word theology, say, but you can search by another subject, of course, you could have said liturgy. Some of you are doing liturgy and gender. You can see the articles on this subject, but just searching by the journalist theology, then you can specify here that you are interested by the material type, first of all, the journals only, so that you are not looking at the huge amount of items. And then if that's exactly the theology journals that you were interested in, the first thing to do, not I want this, because that's where we are tempted. That's what we all want to do. I want this and give it to me immediately and now. You need to click on details. Unfortunately, that's the procedure, and on item holdings. And item holdings show you that there are two shelf marks. We have two copies for this publication, and it may be that we have under one shelf mark just part of the publication from 1920, and under another, and that's exactly what it says here, from 1920 to 2015, that's the shelf mark, and the PP shelf mark has it from 1920 to 2014. Now the title is taken as electronic copy, so you're unlucky. If you do want to look at more recent publications, then this is available electronically, but again, from the reading room. Why you need to check all these details? Because when you do click on the year, first of all, you need to make sure that, yes, this is all available, and under what shelf mark. So luckily in this case, both shelf marks are available for requesting. Sometimes it is not the case. And also you would need to know how many items are held by in 1 year. So according to the British Library procedure, and it does not depend on us, on the reference specialist, you may request 6 consecutive issues or numbers per one request. So if there are 52, if it is a weekly, providing the issues are not bound in one volume, you can request only 6 consecutive issues per one request. I'm now showing you the Vogue, for example, very popular item. We have direct access from the reading rooms, but again, from 2016, you would need to click on the item holdings to know, yes, has it been already received? Has it been? And for example, those who are interested in 2021, very clearly cataloguers are saying not arrived, but that's what perhaps you would expect. If you are clicking on any other year, you will see months and year, it says that it's available. Well, hopefully it is. Sometimes my colleagues are so frustrated when they're saying it is available, but maybe it was not just put on the shelf. So be just patient and not frustrated. As Aliki said, that sometimes people get frustrated, of course. The next journal that I wanted to show as an example is Country Life, for example. And Country Life, I already opened the 2005 year, which shows very clearly there is no point of requesting volume 199 for some reason, both under both shelf marks. So 2 copies that we have are not available for requesting. And that's when you get all these failed requests. If you don't check the item details, then yes, you may get to this failed request. Because if it says deficient, and deficient under this shelf mark, for example, but it is available under another shelf mark for December. This is December, they are different parts of December. So please, not to be upset, do check details. In the majority of cases, yeah, they would show you the details, the title that is available, that some items as a supplement are held. So all additional information is shown here very clearly. And this is again, huge record. If we have not bound all these items of Country Life together, you would need to request just 6, only 6 consecutive items. Luckily, and sometimes it is a good idea to check, is Country Life or Vogue, for example, are they available online? And yes, very frequently you may find that they are available on either from the electronic resources, or it will be shown that yes, access is available. I simply knew the shelf mark and I put it here to get quicker results. Sometimes it is really difficult to get to the title. If you type the Vogue and London, have a look what you get. So knowing the shelf mark, I already put it. So that's your refinement. Shelved in the reading room, it will be perhaps only the index, and then online reading rooms only. What will be available online? Please be explorative and check, but also make all these refinements. But very, very short introduction how to order journals. Many thanks for your attention and all the best with your research.
Thank you so much, Mel. If you wouldn't mind to stop screen sharing, that would be great. So we've come to the end of our session with part 1 and 2 with our 2 reference specialists. So I would like to say special thanks to Aliki and Mel for all the information and practical tips that they've shared today. We hope that was really useful for you. And I would also like to say an extra big thanks to Rachel Brett, our science reference team leader, because she has been very, very busy answering all your questions in the Q&A and in the chat. So thank you to Rachel as well. And I've now got, my pleasure is now to introduce Nora McGregor, who's one of our digital curators, and she will talk to you a little bit about what digital scholarship means and what methods it uses. Over to you, Nora.
All right, let me get my screen going. Can everybody see that okay? I hope so. It's the last presentation of the day. Congratulations to everyone who stuck it out. I know it's been a long day. So I'll make it pretty quick because there's actually a big session that most of my colleagues will be at later in February. So hopefully everybody can attend that. And there are a lot of links in my presentation, so you can take it away. I think Flavia was gonna link to it in the chat. So take some time whenever you've got extra time at home and just work your way through some of the reference links I've included there. So I am Nora McGregor. I'm a digital curator in the digital research team. This is my Twitter handle if you need to get in touch and you're on Twitter. And I'm part of the Digital Scholarship Department, who are a merry band of experts in a range of digital fields, so digital research. I'm actually a librarian. And in digitization, digital history and humanities, computer and data science. And if you follow these links, you can see contact details for most of us in this department. And we have different specialisms, so have a look there. Essentially, our mission is to enable the innovative use of British Library digital collections and data for research and enjoyment. Just a simple thing. But essentially where we put our focus in our department is in supporting the computational turn in humanities research. So a kind of example here is back when our department was created, gosh, I think it was a decade ago, for shame, the library was getting very different questions. So a lot of you I've seen in the chat are saying, you know, where can I get a copy of this digitized manuscript, or where can I find this digitized book or journal? And what we were encountering, the library was getting different reference questions, which were more along the lines of, I'd like to have access to all of your digitized newspapers for text mining. So we had to come up with an answer for how would we provide that information. So you can think of it kind of in terms of doing research at scale with digital collections. We consider digital scholarship to broadly be so research that combines methodologies from humanities with computational tools provided by the computing disciplines. So we will touch on topics such as creating machine readable text for search and analysis, and all of the links here, you're going to have access to this yourself. So just have a good read through and might get some inspiration for your own research on these different types of methods that you might be able to employ. So there's computer vision, exploring text and data mining, so looking at lots and lots of digitized texts and trying to make sense of them using computer programs. And things like distant reading or topic modeling, which would be very interesting. Topic modeling is you could have an example of looking at presidential speeches for topics generally covered within them. I think we know what Trump's would look like, wouldn't we? So how does our team support digital research and digital researchers? So our team gets involved in a lot of research ourselves. So we are trying to improve access and use of collections that are already digital. We experiment with digital technologies ourselves. We're collaborate with a ton of different digital projects. And the purpose of us being so involved in these kinds of digital projects is that there's a lot that we can benefit from, and you guys can benefit from on the whole, when we learn how to apply the same kind of methods that digital researchers are using. So for instance, you know, we have a shared goal that we want optical character recognition or text search of digitized content to be the best that it can be. So a project that I worked on, and a lot of us are working on in different languages material, is things like advancing the state of the art in automatic handwritten text recognition technology. So right now we might have digitized some of our handwritten manuscripts, but we don't, there's no way to search them unless they're manually transcribed. So we work on lots of different projects to add that, you know, have computer programs be able to do that for us at scale. So there's a really nice synergy with what digital researchers are doing and the methods that we also can employ. So these are just some quick links that might inspire you a bit if you have some time. We're here to offer digital research support and guidance if this is kind of your interest area. And there's also, you'll see the BL Labs digital research support link on this this slide. BL Labs is within the department as well, and they're a team that can give more advanced help. You can apply to have them help you with your research. So have a read through their pages. They're really informative. And they also have really good pages on what digital collections are available and data sets that are available. I know from the whole day, everybody's like, where can I find information about what is digitized? It is complicated, but another good place to start is that BL Labs website. So, and we can also help with pointing people to training that might help you pick up new skills, you know, free training that's online and that we've taken ourselves in different areas and different tools and methods. So next steps, if this sounds intriguing to you at all, come to Module 5, which is not just books, and that's on the 10th of Feb. So a lot of our colleagues in different departments, so web archive and interesting digital areas are all kind of coalescing on that day, and we'll have more in-depth presentations on some of the opportunities and support that we in BL Labs can provide for you. You can have a click through this other online presentation, Digital Research of British Library Collections, Data, Tools, and Methods. That might be useful to you in the interim before then. And of course, look at our Digital Scholarship Department blog, which has lots of ideas and inspiration about how you can use digital methods and computational methods in your research. And of course, you can just get in touch with us to drop an email to digitalresearch@bl.uk and labs, because we do similar but different things. So just drop a line to both of us and the right team will help you with your inquiry. If you're just looking for one digitized book or a digitized manuscript, then reference services are absolutely your experts there. Ours is, I hope I've articulated, is a bit more about doing digital research across a large amount of digital collections. So that's it for me. I will stop sharing.
Thanks so much, Nora, for this whirlwind introduction to scholarship and also signposting to one of the next events where you can find out more. And Naomi, I saw, has also just shared the link to your presentation in the chat. So we've basically almost come to the end. Thank you again, Nora. And just a very few words in conclusion. So we hope you found it useful. We hope that you will feel confident that you can now start searching and familiarizing yourselves with the catalogues and resources that we showed today. The main resources today will be shared with you, so you'll get a link to the recordings. You'll get, we can make the booklet and collections guide available to you as a PDF, so apologize you couldn't download that today. The Google Doc, I know there are discussions ongoing, but that will also be made available, and key links from today's introduction. So see how far you get with looking at things on your own, and then if you get stuck, please contact our specialist reference teams, or you might bring your questions to one of our next events. You'll be asked for feedback after this event. We would be really, really grateful if you could, if you are participating via Zoom, if you could complete that so we can continue to improve our offer to you and the information that we share with other PhD students in the future. And if you didn't sign up for any of the other modules, but you want to, those links, registration links, just to remind you, they're now online on our website, so you can do that from there. If you have already signed up for one of the next modules, you will get a few days before that particular event an email that will ask you to confirm your attendance. So please do that. If you no longer want to come, you don't need to do anything. If you do still want to come, please just confirm your attendance using the details you used when you first registered. That's just for us to manage and plan how many staff we need to support the events. So final recommendations. Subscribe to the BL YouTube channel if you would like to, or you can keep an eye there also on the PhD webinar playlist, where we will eventually post recordings from this event series. Remember that you can sign up to our newsletter if you would like to for periodical updates. And finally, I would like to thank all our speakers. So Richard Price, who gave us the introduction and the context at the beginning, Aliki Akumani and Mel Johnson, and also, of course, Rachel Brett, in addition from the reference team. And I'd also like to thank my colleagues Naomi Billingsley and Andy Rackley, who've been supporting this, and our caption writers, Kate and Katie, for supporting the webinar today. So all of us at the BL hope that you found today's introduction useful, and that it's made the prospect of beginning to use the library, particularly in the current situation, a bit less daunting, and that it will help you progress your research, get started. Perhaps you've discovered resources and collections today that you weren't aware of, and that can help you with your PhD. If so, we would always love to hear about that, so do share that with us. And for now, we wish you best of luck with your research, and we hope to see you again very soon at one of our next events. So thanks very much, and we will be in touch.